Welcome everybody to a special edition of the CCA League here tonight. Season 4 playoffs have literally just started, and we've already got our first matchup here. It's a Division 1 matchup between Red Embers versus UCSD Gold. I'm Kyone. DRF joins me on the mic. First of all, before I kick off everything else, DRF, how are you doing?
I am doing very well. Yeah, Kyone, you're right. This is a special edition, I guess we could say, because we weren't planning for this.
No.
Just a bit of quick context here. Yes, you are not imagining things right now. This is a Division 1 playoff match between Red Embers out of Illinois State University and UCSD Esports Gold out of UC San Diego. And both of these teams were basically saying, hey, we're pretty sure we're playing each other. Can we play our match today? Because I believe Red Embers basically said this is the only day that they can play their match this week.
Sometimes scheduling happens, we get it, but I feel like this is almost as iconic as of cast I definitely remember from the previous season. Both teams have already readied up here. Red Embers on the yellow colored side, the blue or violet colored side actually it's the other way around. Blue colored side is Illinois State. Good, nice catch on me. UCSD is on yellow. I take a look at the weapons right to kick us off here. Double Trizuka comp on one side with the cooler. On the other side, a variety of different choices, but right away I do see the E leader on Terrell's end.
Yep, absolutely. And we're gonna kick things off with a DC classic. This is a great omen for what's to come.
You know what? I can appreciate this. Okay, this is definitely not gonna count. I think they're just messing with us, and they just don't know how to finish this.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm guessing nobody here was quite aware of how to end the game.
Excuse me.
So, well,
that's a good sign. I already started coughing there for a second, trying to figure out that how that all worked out.
Yeah, special edition, for sure.
You know, I think we took special edition maybe a little too literally. I don't think we expected the DC to start. I don't think that was all part of the script. You know what? This is okay,
No, it wasn't.
You know what? It was not. But here's the good news, DRF. This does allow us to set the stage here.
Yes.
For playoffs. So, you know what? This is a good thing in this case.
Yeah, it gives us more time to talk.
Yes, exactly. For those who are tuning in, CCA playoffs goes like this. Instead of best of 7s, best of 9s in the playoff stages here. We got the second seeded team here, which is going to be UCSD Gold from Division 1 Group 1 versus the third seeded Red Embers of Red Embers. They're in Division 1 Group 2. Red Embers was just in with a 2-3 record that got in because of tiebreakers. So I'm sure they're hyped up and ready to go just as today started. And we got everybody in here. Once again, take two. I noted Terrell's on the E leader. UCSD is going to be running the double Trizuka with the cooler comp.
Yes, they will. So definitely now we could actually talk about these comps here. So we do see Gochow bringing out the ballpoint, definitely a new weapon for her this season. And we've been seeing a lot more of it. We're going to also see Enda on this tent umbrella, which is definitely a little bit of a different pick here. And now this is going to be the number one thing that we will see out of Illinois State, and that is going to be Corona's Brush. Corona's Brush has been just a menace in the few games that we've seen them on stream this season so far. With the way that Corona kind of just runs around with this brush, you would not suspect the 2-3 record that we were just talking about, because they just move around so seamlessly with it and just are surprising opponents. And it's going to be a battle between CD Wumi and Corona on who's going to be the sneakier player.
I absolutely love this matchup as well, because especially in this map here in Eeltail Rainmaker, where moving fast and just trying to catch the other team by surprise is going to be very key. And right now both teams really just having a hard time just getting out of mid. It's almost par for the course at this point. With both teams just finding picks left and right. We do see the Rainmaker being picked up there. Red Embers has that Rainmaker taking it to the bottom path. So I think they're trying to look for the route that works well for them, but they got that flexibility. They're going to take the rightmost path. Not many teams take the rightmost path as much as they can. They are taken out by Goatchild there as well. and it looks like this Rainmaker is just going to be stuck in its pedestal, waiting to be picked up once more. There's Corona. Corona now picking up the Rainmaker, and it's going to go down real quickly there. UCSD is at least able to stop them just for now, but that's a great starting push for Red Embers.
Yeah, and I think for one thing for certain, coming into this, at least this particular game here, I will give Red Embers a slight advantage here in game number 1. I think that this map mode fits their style a little bit more. I know UCSD particularly was loathing having to play this to start out their set. Not very big fans of Eeltail Rainmaker. It is just a little bit of a weirder map mode. It's kind of one that we thought was really good at first, and then it's sort of phased out as we kind of progressed through Splatoon 3's first year. As we now progress to about the halfway point in this game, we will see CD Wumi pick up this Rainmaker, but with 2 people down, Corona's gonna try and flank around. They do see the brush, but CD Wumi's not gonna be able to deal with it.
And you've highlighted before, Corona just able, with the great footwork, just navigating around the Rainmaker big time. And I was wondering if Corona was able to get the find there onto CD Wumi with that Rainmaker, and they sure as heck did. That's Corona getting the stop on that one. Now they get the Rainmaker pushed down once again further down the bottom path. And at this stage, there is enough painting on Red Embers and just able to get UCSD out of their territory. But hey, if Corona's able to get the flanks out, why not do the same? And CD Wumi gets one out right away. It is just gonna be the pick on the clip, and that's really all it's gonna be. And then just sniped out, no problem. And the Rainmaker's picked up, and UCSD is left by surprise. And they lost 3 in the process. Corona picked up this Rainmaker very sneakily while all this was happening. And they're down to 14 points remaining. That's a nice little stop there. Illinois State is not able to move themselves up just yet. But they may lose 3. Oh, they lost 3 members right away here. DRF, but will this Rainmaker get picked up? Yes, just at the nick of time. Will we see the slam home? No, not quite yet. But it looks like another 2-for-2 trade, and now everybody's exploding by the Rainmaker once again, and that's a wipeout. Will be the slam, and DRF, we kick things off with Red Embers taking the first map here in this playoff set.
Wow, an explosive game 1 from Red Embers, indeed. Like I said, that was definitely a bit of a struggle for UCSD. They just weren't. This is not their game 1, that's for sure. So for them, I think that they're in a way kind of okay with it. They knew going into it was going to be a bit of a rougher game 1 pick here, but I think now that they kind of got it out of the way, they got a feel for this team now, and they know a little bit more of what they're dealing with, because they really haven't had much time to do their homework on this team.
Absolutely, and especially with the matchups here, where you know both teams are not basically playing each other from the same group. They're getting their first taste of a team that's opposite of their group. I think you're exactly right there. They are gonna have to spend some time probably just having to prep on the fly even to see how they play up against Red Embers. Next map here is gonna be Barnacle and Dime, Clam Blitz. Both teams just wasting no time at this point, and I'm gonna be curious to see if UCSD Gold has some adjustments. They got a map mode they're not really familiar that they're not probably fond of right away. So we got one that's more familiar here in Barnacle and Dime Clam Blitz.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll have to see with this one if Illinois State comes out with that same composition. There's a lot of pros to kind of maintaining that, with the brush being able to provide a quick route up to the basket and get some quick scoring in. That scoped E-leader, I mean, did everything on Eeltail. But Eeltail really is designed for the E-leader, but I think it can really do well here also if they decide to bring it back out. They'll be able to really get an extended reach and on the offensive end at least, really try to cover that pit underneath basket. Might be a little bit more difficult for Illinois State defensively as a result, but if they can just at least make sure that they maintain the same aggression that we saw from them out of game 1, they'll be in a pretty good spot here as well.
I think you're going to be right here. So in this case, where Red Embers may have a little bit of a struggle there defensively moving up. If they opt to keep the same weapons, there. So this is probably one of those cases where they probably want to look for more control of the map as much as they can, especially with members that will help pick up the clams. I'm so intrigued to see if Corona is able to make this one work with their brush there. And I do see already right away changes on the side of UCSD. I think this is almost the same complex if I on the side of Red Embers, but if I take a look at UCSD right away, Enda's on Dark Tetra duties, a weapon I don't normally see that often.
Yeah, it is one of Enda's comfort picks for sure. Definitely what we've traditionally seen more out of them in the past 3 seasons of the CCA. So no, not too big of a surprise here that they eventually do, that Enda will eventually bring this one out. As we do actually see UCSD is the aggressor to start this game. So I think already we're seeing a much better composition for this team.
The playstyle change is going to be very key there, but then Terrell gets defined onto the Dark Tetras and Undoes, so that pretty much stalled out that push. But you're right. I think what we saw there from UCSC is pretty much a big playstyle change. They're just trying to move up and then try to see if they can get all that control right away. But Red Embers just immediately fires up right until that Trizuka shot. My goodness, 2 down right out of that one. So the attempted push is going to have to wait just a little bit longer from Red Embers. That's a nice hold from UCSD. Now UCSD can get some clams back in, and now we're back into the neutral state. Thanks of course to the Trizuka double we just saw.
Yeah, and that was very close to being a triple. But you know, CD we were just a little bit off on that last shot there. But the double comes up big because that could have resulted in a massive push out of Illinois State. As we do see UCSD once again going 3 down, clams being passed around. Illinois State will score here, and the question will be how much of a follow-up do we get from the Red Embers? We are going to see Zolo here pile in the 5 clams that they have in their pocket. That's going to be a wipeout, so 62 points remaining. Not too shabby of a push, but we typically like to go with that 60-point metric being what you really want in a first push. So UCSD now going to try to see what they can do here as Goatchild gets a nice snipe, but did not quite see the shot running up onto them. And they are going to lose this power clam possibly unless someone picks this one up. Enda finally going to save this one, but going to cost them their life and another player as well as Nerdy Adam goes down too. CD Woomy trying to make something out of this, but no, it just seems like UCSD is a bit all over the place as it is at this stage.
UCSC is just kind of just scattered around right now, just trying to make anything happen. Really, I saw the jump shot E-leader there, trying to find a few. And as you noted, there was just 3 down just from UCSD playing super aggressive, but they don't have that power clam ready to go just yet. Great cooler positioning, by the way. Get everybody with that cooler and get the quick respawns in and the extra speed that they need to make this push happen. There's 7 clams available and right now, and Red Embers does have to play a little bit more defensively right then and there. They take out CD Woomy. A good chunk of the sneaky play that could happen is out. So they're gonna have, but only for a few more seconds. And at this point, UCSC just holding on to mid, just trying to respect what Red Embers is throwing at them. But more time is still ticking down from the clock.
Yeah, and you know, they need to get something going, but it just seems like they don't have an answer for these flanks from Red Embers. Every time it seems like that they do manage to finally get a couple players down, they just can't push up in time, and then suddenly the last player that they didn't account for is flanking them. And this might be what ends up costing them game 2 here. And I mean, they're going to need to find an answer for this eventually, because this is going to continue to happen all set long.
And really what UCSC needs to do is find a way to neutralize some of the impact players from Red Embers. You mentioned Corona, who's just right there, just waiting in the wings, chase them out, and that's going to give a huge opening for Red Embers if they're able to do just that. And they're actually taking out more members out of UCSC just from this push alone, and now they're out of the penalty points, and Corona's just becoming a menace with this ink brush moving across the entire base, moving fast and furious, of course, finding a few more out of the picture. And again, if you don't contain Corona's just gonna run you over with that brush. They get the points down at 49 points remaining, plus the 16 in the penalty. UCSC with an uphill battle to climb.
Absolutely. 2 players going down on UCSD. 35 seconds remain in this game. Corona picks up a power clip. I don't know if they intended to on that one. It seemed like they kind of just accidentally ran into that, revealing their location, and it's going to cost them. As now UCSD with 20 seconds to play, now finally finding themselves back in a neutral position at the very least, but it is still can continue to be an uphill battle because they're only going to have about 20 seconds here to get some form of scoring going. They need 2 power clams at the very least, and on top of that, another 4 clams. So let's see how this goes. 2 members down on the side of Illinois State. How fast can UCSD get a push going here? Go Chow with a huge pick. Now here's the 1 power clam. Here's the 2nd power clam. Go Chow at the top. 1, 2. No, does not get the 3rd power clam, the 3rd mini clam in. Nerdy Adam, the last bit, the last savior here, but not going to be able to get there in time. Enda trying to come in as well, and it's going to be too little, too late. UCSD just stumbles at the goal line here in game 2.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate. That's just a very unfortunate finish, really, from UCSD. They had almost the makings of a comeback there from 49 points remaining there on that one. They got 2 power clamps in, and that was just a great push, but they needed more oomph. But right in front of them, just one of the members just put the brakes on the E-leader that was just chugging in all the small clams. No more support left in the tank for UCSD, and I gotta give credit to UCSD though, still holding strong. They took out Corona early, along with the Tri-Slosher rather, which allowed them to get the push started, but it just wasn't enough members, and the respawns were favoring Red Embers at that point in time, so UCSD was just maybe a few seconds too late, just trying to get that push in, but Red Embers up 2-0 so far in the set. They're looking really good.
They are, but at least if you're UCSD, the big takeaway from that is, hey, we finally started to figure out exactly how we can push against this team. You know, like you and I said, like this really just revolves around, you know, calling out Corona, calling out Zolo as well, because both of them are doing such a good job of flanking and just sharking in very advantageous positions. And UCSD needs to continue to call those players out wherever they are. If you don't know where they are, make sure that that is known too, because that is a major issue if you don't know where either of those players are.
Exactly correct. You know, we've seen Corona just play very fast with the brush, and also just be able to move around it at fast speeds, just catching them off guard. If you don't have a tracker on Corona, where Corona is at all times is exactly what you highlighted. It's just gonna be game over for them. So I need to see how UCSD adapts to how Corona and Zolo plays out. The time to do it is in Crab Lake zones. This is a map that does have opportunities to work around, especially with some of the pits areas on the side. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of the weapons that UCSD dished out from the previous map will try to be dished out here. One thing's for certain though, the substitution has Enda out. We do see Mpreg in for UCSD, so I like to see how UCSD works with this one. I was kind of half expecting the Dark Tetris to come back, but Enda subbed out, so there went that idea for me. So gonna be curious to see how UCSD adjusts.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, it is going to be an interesting adjustment. I don't quite know what to expect out of Diluc, but it's because they play a lot of different weapons. So I just don't quite know what they're going to bring out this time. Because they've played Zap, they've played Octobrush, they've played Pro, they've played a lot of different things, so it's a little bit hard to speculate. I think one thing for sure is that they do get someone that's just a little bit more controlled midline, where Enda is a very in-your-face type player, really pushes the pace. But, you know, especially with like a weapon like Tetris though, you run the risk of having that player feed. So with Diluc here now going to be bringing out that 52, you're going to get just maybe a little bit more controlled pacing.
The other thing I noted here too, Nerdy Adam's on the T-Tech actually as well, so they got trip strikes in their arsenal if they want to take advantage of that policy to help zone out the rest of Illinois State or just to even cap the zone. So I actually don't mind this choice whatsoever. But they go away from the 2 Trizukas and the cooler for sure. But Adam going down though is only gonna mean that Illinois State is gonna get the zones out right away. Now Corona strikes again, and the 52 from Diluc and Prague is down, and this is now nice control from Red Embers. If you don't control Corona, that is gonna be what's gonna happen there. But UCSD does take out Corona by the end of it. Will UCSD capture the point? Yes, they will. It is just gonna be 74 points remaining. Just a quick first push for UCSD, for Red Embers. UCSD with the zones right now.
Yeah, and now UCSD finally getting their first solid control here. Not gonna be enough for the lead quite yet. Oh, a beautiful flick shot there from Tarao. Like, wow, and you don't really get flick shots like that on a scope either.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really beautiful coming out of the scope there, and then again you got the two down situation on top of it, which is only going to lead to Red Embers getting out of those penalty points. And hey, you throw the trip strikes trying to reassert control of the zone, but you leave Corona once again unchecked. They do at least get Cliff in the middle of all that though, which is very fascinating. But will UCSD have another counterattack? They use the killer whale, trying to track where all the players are, and I think they did just enough of that to put them out of the zone for at least a few seconds. But Red Embers is still having control of the zone.
Yeah, they are, and this is just looking to be very, very difficult for UCSD as CD Wumi trying to make an ambitious play here. Does get Corona there. That's going to be a massive pick. UCSD should flip this zone as a result. Solo with that, with the Zuka here, not going to be able to find anybody. They're going to go ahead and Shark now as well. I don't know if anyone from UCSD realizes that the Zuka was popped, but, you know, they never actually followed the player.
Nope, not at all. Just never bothered to track the Zuka at that point in time, which is going to be A-okay. And now UCSD is out of the penalty points, which is looking very good. And they got the E-leader out of the picture. Corona is down with the brush, so Corona has to respawn. But there is that Zuka looming large from Zolo if they're able to find any value right now. The Nouveau is down on top of it. The trip strikes I think may have gotten them, and this could be the lead change here. If there's no contest from Red Embers is going to have to give up the lead. And now the Wavebreaker's dished out. There's that Trizuka there. Wumi is caught out of position, but the Tri-Celestial is down. Corona is down. That's huge, and that's Illinois State. Maybe Illinois State will not be able to contest anymore, and UCSD is on the board for this playoff set, at least getting a map secured in their favor.
Yes, they are. So, Kyo, that was exactly what I was saying following game 2.
Yup.
Like, exactly what I was saying. You know, UCSD, at the very least, their biggest accomplishment in that game was they've pieced together exactly how to facilitate a push against this Red Embers team that gave them difficulty for the first, 8 minutes of gameplay there through game 1 and game 2. So they figured it out now, and now they're starting to capitalize on it. They recognize that they need to be very aware of the flanks. They need to really avoid staggering, push in as a team together, and continue to call out the positioning of the opposing team, because that's really what's going to help them out here. If they don't make those key callouts, they're not going to be in a winning position.
And I feel like some of those callouts may have been aided with Diluc on that 52 gal, because it had the killer whale, which can actually track where the opponents are at any time. You can know any member with that tracking, and if it happens to be Corona that happens to be the one that got tracked, you can that is key information for UCSD to just take advantage and know, okay, there are 2 members, let's say on the left hand side, we can just try to chase them down fast. If you end up losing, okay, at least that was at least one attempt. But if you're able to succeed and then set yourself up for success, that is huge, and that's, I think, is what we saw from UCSD. And again, some beautiful trip strikes to get the zoning out of there. I think was key for UCSD to make that one work. Now Illinois State, or Red Embers for that matter, gonna have to go back to the drawing board, and it has to go with Humpback Pump Track Tower Control being this 4th map.
Yeah, and this is probably the goofiest map mode that you will see in all of playoffs. So I will preface that I don't think we get anything that's more questionable than this. But hey, it's a CCA. We have a couple of interesting map modes just to keep things fresh. But you know, To circle back though, Keon, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I do think that the switch over to that 52 with the killer whale was absolute key in helping those callouts for the positioning. And I think that helped UCSD a lot, as that now forced Corona and Zolo to have to be more willing to reveal their location. Now, the other thing I'm going to bring up here as well is the battle of these E leaders, the backlines between Goatchild and Tarao. Like, both of these players have been phenomenal so far. I think Tara's kind of won out a little bit, but now we're going to see them pivot over to that Squeezer, which might present a unique set of new problems for UCSD.
This is actually a fascinating change here from Red Embers. They go with the double Trizuka cooler comp that we see, but this is a very aggressive setup, actually. With that kind of comp, you tend to generally see members flex with the fourth weapon of choice. Corona's on the fourth slot, I like to say, with that Ink Brush. No surprises to that, for that matter. So that's kind of, so they're going to try to be in your face, play as aggressive with the Squeezer covering the most range. I'm noting that part, but UCSD has 3 weapon changes. Well, note that a bit, though. 2 members have gone down from Red Ember's side. UCSD with a nice little victory there, but that's not going to be anything extra to note. But they are able to at least secure this tower. One thing I want to quickly note here, while this tower is slowly being approached to this first checkpoint, UCSD has the Optirush Nouveau. They got beacons available in their arsenal, but as you mentioned, Goatchild, keep an eye on them with the E leader.
Yeah, and what I am noticing as well, Nerdy Adam holding on to this Booyah for quite a long time. I think almost too long there. You know, in that time, they really could have built up a second Booyah with how long they held on to it. So a little bit of a, I don't want to say disappointment there, but it just seemed like that they could have been a better use of the resources that they had at hand, as they're now going to lose the lead in what was a relatively promising start for UCSD. It's going to be Red Embers that pushes beyond this first checkpoint now. Zolo sharking right around this elbow as Red Embers trying to keep this push going, but losing 3 members in the process. Look at Corona though, Keon. Look at Corona. Oh, and no, Corona peaked too early.
No, Corona just a little impatient there. I think just trying to wait for the opportunistic time to catch UCSD by surprise, but I think just the off timing, and then the pick onto Corona for the E leader, UCSD with a nice amount of control. But again, where was the tower being ridden? It was actually by Adam, who had to pop the Booyah Bomb to get them out of there. So yeah, Corona, as you mentioned, maybe peaked a little too early, trying to look for the opportunistic pick on the Optirush, but that just wasn't enough. Now you're on to the second checkpoint. You got the lead back. But I need to see if it's going to be anything else. I think this push is going to slow down. Definitely stalled now, but that's a great lead retake from UCSD.
And Goatchild with a great position there. I don't think anyone but Red Embers saw that as the second pick from Goatchild now, but no, it's Corona that's going to be coming in to cause some havoc and slow down this conversion from UCSD. They're not going to be able to make this push as strong as they were hoping for, as it's going to be a little bit of a slow uptake here. They do actually find a 2-down situation once again, as Nerdy Adam going to pop yet another Booyah Bomb. UCSD will add more points onto the board. Will they get through this second checkpoint? It looks like they will, as Zolo misses on all the Zuka shots. Second checkpoint is now complete. Diluc continuing to just dance on this tower, able to possibly pick up Zolo here. Yes, they do. Diluc is all on their own here. I mean, how did they let them ride that for an additional 30 points?
I'm actually wondering the same question. I think where Red Embers went wrong was focusing too much on Adam, who was just flanking on the side and just lurking bait time, which allowed UCSD to continue pushing for even more points. This push is stalled, but a little bit of mixed priorities, to say the least. You have Diluc, who's riding the tower. All right, the tower is just going to continue to ride there, but I believe they committed 3 on to Adam on the Forge Pro on the right-hand side, and that's based, and with all that commitment there, they let this tower proceed on for way more points. To 10 points remain, which is really close to a winning push, and especially with the amount of time left, Red Ember still needs a lot to come back from, but this is a really good start for them. They take out 2 from UCSD here and make that a delayed triple. 1 minute left to go on the clock. Let's see if Red Embers has a counter push ahead of them.
Well, we will see it right here, as I do feel like that Tower Control Humpback is one of the most comebackable map modes in the game, so it's certainly not over until Judd says it's over, as we are now going to be seeing it's Red Embers adding a few more points onto the board. 2 members down on the side of UCSD. They're going to be approaching the second checkpoint, but Red Embers loses 2 players of their own, but luckily taking out CD Woomy as well. So they will clear the second checkpoint. And now this is going to come down to the wire as Nerdy Adam comes up with a big double here. Corona gonna be diving onto Nerdy Adam as well. That's a 3-down situation. It's just Tarao on the squeezer, and Tarao goes down as well. And that's gonna be a delayed wipe. But there's still enough time for Red Embers to try to get back on this tower. Diluc going to be trying to ride this tower. They're gonna leave it to Nerdy Adam now. Nerdy Adam trying to do everything they can. If I'm Nerdy Adam though right now, you back up and build up that Booyah Bomb as quick as you physically can.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to build up that Booyah Bomb, get everybody off the tower as soon as you can. As there is going to be 2 down. Who is riding that tower from Red Embers there? That's the ultimate question. There's that Booyah Bomb. They got to pop it right now. This might, but it's not aimed directly at the tower, but it is enough to take 2. And it gets everybody off that tower. Talk about an MVP play from Adam in that map. That was a much needed Booyah Bomb DRF as UCSD nods up the set 2 apiece.
Nerdy Adam, I came up clutch, but I think made it a little bit too clutch.
Yes.
It just felt like that Booyah Bomb was not being built up fast enough. And Nerdy Adam waited until the last possible second to pop it, somehow secured the double. Literally was elbowing Corona to try and get on the tower, plus the jump in onto the tower. Like, I don't think Nerdy Adam could have cut that any closer. If that was a frame off, I think Red Embers wins that.
I think for all the UCSD fans and especially all the players in gold, don't do that again. Is probably what's going to be yelled out there. Yeah, I honestly agree. That would, if you waited maybe 2 or 3 more seconds, and not only that, if you aimed the Booyah Bomb at like just the wrong positioning, because that Booyah Bomb took out 2.
Yes.
Anywhere else, and that's it. We're talking about a Red Embers 3-1 set, but no, it's 2-2. Adam at least comes up clutch when it was absolutely needed. So hey, well done to Adam taking that, helping UCSD get to a 2-2 set tie here. So we enter map 5. I'm having deja vu for this one, DRF. I hope we get something similar. Yeah, you remember this one very well. Scourge Rainmaker's the 5th map.
Yep, and it was last season, round 1 of the Division 6 playoffs. Rainmaker Scorch Gorge, where Keon and I have started our streak of absolute banger Rainmaker games where every time we commentate together, just chaos ensues. I guess game 1 wasn't really, chaotic in that regard, other than just Corona just bobbing and weaving all around UCSD. So, but hey, I mean, we're back as where you and I started, Keon. We're back here. So let's see what happens. This could go one of 2 ways. This is either going to be the lowest scoring Rainmaker match you have ever seen, or it's going to be one that comes down to the wire in what could be a game of inches.
What? Okay, I had to look at my eyes there. That's a vanilla Splattershot Pro. Okay, I wasn't expecting. Yeah, it was. Angle Shooter Crab Tank. That's making its interesting appearance here today. Diluc is on 52 gal duty, so again, respect the killer whale as much as possible if you are Red Embers. That's the notable changes that I've seen so far, but we're going to be seeing an E-leader duel between Goatchild and Tarao right now, and this will be very fun to watch.
Certainly, as we do see a couple of picks on either side to get things started. No one really making any big moves quite yet, waiting for the opposing team, I guess, to just kind of play into a mistake here. I don't think either of these teams, other than Corona, kind of showing up. Oh, there we go. Now we see a couple players crossing that halfway mark in the map to try to get something going, and it is going to pay off for the Red Embers. They pick up the Rainmaker. They get a total of 3 down here, and they will get this first checkpoint for free. Finally, after what seemed like to be a very just skittish start for both of these teams.
Yeah, skittish is definitely the way to describe it, because I think both teams are just waiting very patiently, just trying to look for the first mistake. And this might have been the rest of Red Embers maybe overextending a little bit there. Trizuka shot being fired from distance, but I don't think it's gonna really net to anything. So UCSD will be able to reset. Now keep an eye on Woomy with this Carbon Roller Deco, see if they can find any value. There's a find onto Tarao. That is great patient play, but they're going to be down for their troubles. Diluc, by the way, did go down just earlier. Will this be the first checkpoint? Tri-Saucer is down, but is met face first into Corona. But Gochild will be there to at least get everybody to jump to Gochild at the very least. But I don't think it's going to be anything extra. So just only 97 points remaining. But more importantly, Red Embers, they get that first checkpoint earlier.
Yes, as we do see the Zuka coming out once again, not going to find any value there. It seems like CD Woomy just patiently waiting to get something open there, but no, the team not there to support that. 2 minutes in, a relatively low-scoring game, so you know we could still see an explosion from either team here. As we do see the Tri-Slosher gonna go down, as Nerdy Adam on the Pro gonna go down as well. So we're just kind of going pick for pick here at this point. So no one really winning out the battle quite yet, as we now cross the halfway point in this match, Keon.
You know, this is the first time I think I've seen both teams just try to play very patiently. I feel like maybe you've seen a lot more like dueling happen across the board. Maybe just skirmishy fights that happen. This is probably the first where I think both teams are trying to just respect the E-Leader. I feel like is kind of more the idea. Look at how much range it covers, more or less. So I think one of them just doesn't want to fall into the trap quite yet. This is literally just a game of chicken, really. Who is going to make the first find? And that's Cliff going down from Gochild. But will this be anything else? CD Woomy did go down just earlier. This might still be the stalled neutral fest that we're seeing here. Corona did get caught out of position, so that will be the brush going down. This might be the go button maybe for UCSC. No, actually, with CD Woomy down, I think we're going to be back to the neutral game here, DRF. Adam is down on the Pro, and now there's actually a delay. But right as I had to say it, this could be the go button for Red Embers.
Yes, and with the Zuka online as well, it could be an even bigger opportunity, but no, it's not going to be the case as 2 members go down. The Zuka certainly has to come out, like now, right? like Zolo's been holding on to this for quite some time.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who's wanting to just, you know, make that bold push. I think, again, this is like literally a game of respecting the E-Leader, or both teams just really doesn't want to make the first mistake in a pivotal game 5. But again, the more you patiently wait on this, I think Red River might be okay with it. This is still not a safe lead. I'm also going to note that right now, it is just the first checkpoint and maybe a few more inches or centimeters. So where do you paint for a positioning? So I do like where they're trying to position here, and Cliff did go down again. Maybe this could be the first checkpoint. Woomy did go down. This is going to be raining shots all across the board.
Oh, did he get it? No, he didn't.
It does get punished, and Red Embers takes out 3. This is just the crab tank of comedy, unfortunately, as Adam goes down, and his jump is down as well. With all the members down, Red Embers successfully hold.
And they're just going to try to hold this Rainmaker right here for 30 seconds. A little bit of a bold play, but it should be doable as UCSD slowly running out of time here. They're going to try to force UCSD into a play as CD Woomy's going to try to come up with a big pick here. Not going to be able to find anything. Seems like they got a bit of chip damage, but now they need to pop this Rainmaker barrier. And with 2 members going down, it's just not going to happen as Red Embers will hold on here in game number 5. And I mean, Keon, this was a low-scoring game as we anticipated. I think that's kind of just been a thing we've historically seen with UCSD on Rainmaker Scorch, is that you're guaranteed to be in for a very low-scoring game.
This was definitely one of the lowest scoring games that I've definitely seen from Scorch Rainmaker. Definitely one of the few I've seen recently there. And I think I may have jinxed by saying that we got a banger match. This was more methodical, more or less, and that's not a bad thing, actually. I think both teams were afraid, really, to make that pivotal mistake or find themselves in a position where they can't contest. Because again, the E-Leaders are kind of placed in positions where, okay, I don't want to get myself sniped out of that E-Leader. I don't want to get myself caught in any of the killer whales that Corona or Diluc had available. So I think both teams are just trying to wait for the patient time to make that push happen. And of course, Red Embers, just the first checkpoint was just really enough. And UCSD only had the one big push they were trying to make, and it was just shut down with like 25 seconds left and change.
Certainly. Well, we are now going to be looking towards game number 6 in this best of 9 set. So no, this is not match point. This is the playoffs. We've added 2 more games to have to, possibly play out. UCSD looking to possibly tie this set and keep their streak of semifinals appearances alive. This is currently UCSD's 4th consecutive season in the Division 1 playoffs, finishing tied for first in season 1, 4th in season 2, and 4th again in season 3. So I'm if I'm UCSD, I think the goal here is to try to keep that streak alive at the very least of hopefully another top 4 finish.
Absolutely, and also the other thing to note here, DRF, I believe this is a single elimination playoff bracket, so a lot really is at stake for UCSD in terms of the streak. Here, they want to make another semifinals appearance, and you mentioning season 1 of CCA League just unlocked some memories there for a second there too. So definitely they want to keep that streak alive as much as they can, but where does it start here in Mako Clams? Really, you still have to respect Corona and Zolo. They've been pretty much sticking with the same weapons there's on the side of Red Embers. UCC is still trying to find ways to just navigate around that and possibly maybe a different stylistic play in mind here in Mako Clams. So what are the changes that we have to see? Well, Enda, first of all, is on the Dark Tetras being the big change, and Red Embers is just sticking to what has worked really well for them.
Luke switching over to that NZAP as well, going to be trying to get some coolers for them. So again, this could be an interesting composition because we were really pointing out how those killer whales were super effective here, and given that there's a lot of space for Corona, Zolo, and Cliff to just sneak around and try to surprise. I mean, like, look at Zolo already. Like, this is already looking very bad for UCSD.
Yeah, UCSD is kind of being pushed backwards. All of the clans being chucked up there. Cliff's able to get a few more in. And right away, Red Ember strikes first. They maybe extend this push even more. A 2-down situation there for UCSD means that Red Embers will be able to keep this push alive. And this is just all of the pressure being dished out. This is not the start you want if you're UCSD. You at least get 2 down. You take out 2 out of the picture. But look at this push. It's still happening here. Again, with the path to the basket in Mako Clams, it's so fast and furious to say the least that Red Embers was just able to capitalize big time on just that flank that Zolo had. And hey, Red Embers with a really strong push with 44 points remaining.
Absolutely. As CD Wumi now trying to get a couple of quick picks on that left ledge there. Gonna be pushed up all by himself though, and is going to get called out for it. So UCSD does have a power clam, but losing 3 members in the process. It's just Gochild trying to fend for herself, as CD Wumi gonna come in and try to save the day here. Will do so, picks up 2 nice picks. 1 on the main roller, the second on that Zuka. Will back up now and try to get things going for their team once again. 2 power clams at the ready, but only 2 players at the ready as well.
Yeah, just losing a fight around mid in Mako Clams, not the place you want to be. They at least save the power clam at the very least. But again, they gotta look for the openings or just try to catch everybody from Red Embers by surprise. But they're losing so many members just trying to commit to it. They're being caught by surprise yet once again, and that is Red Embers with I believe a delayed wipe on top of it. And again, UCSD is just going down one by one even. They're gonna get at least this 1 clamp in. The Resire is just there to clear out that area where the clams can get cashed in. But again, will they see this push being extended? No, not quite. But they did run out of time. It is, however, 3 down. They just need to build more clamps up to break open that basket once the basket comes back down. But again, UCSD, where's the defense? That defense is crumbling.
It certainly is, as we're gonna see yet another score out of the Red Embers, and this time there might not be 1 more push. This might be it, as Enda trying to hold down the fort underneath the basket. Just so much blue paint underneath UCSD's basket now. It seems like a near impossible task at this stage to just put together a defensive effort strong enough. And look at Taro, the flanking scoped E-leader picks off Gochild and returns to the safety of that left stack. And another score. This is disaster for UCSD as Cliff is trying to come in with the winning clams, and they might be able to do it. One more clam, no, Cliff is gonna get shut down just in time. UCSD has spent 3.5 minutes trying to play defense here. Finally going to get back some control of mid, but they just are missing a load of paint. And this is just not working out for them right now, but they do get 3 down here. This could be an opportunity for UCSD, but they only have a minute to score basically 100 points.
This is the push they have to make, it has to be like the KO push. I feel like that's the only way you could even come back from this one. But Red Embers has just been in your face finding all of the flank routes. Corona and Zola are just running free. The flanking E-leader, which I don't think I've ever had to say once in my lifetime, has just ran rampant for Red Embers. And UCSC, as you mentioned, they've had to play defense for about 4 minutes at this point. This is like their first chance to score, and they will score, but will there be any additional follow-up? I think they're gonna have to try to take this one push at a time, most likely, or look to see if they can spawn another power clam. But with the amount of members that are down, they will at least be able to keep this basket open. But they gotta keep up with this pressure. The Zap is down. Diluc is down on top of it. Corona is still down. This is gonna leave a lot of opportunities for them to keep scoring, but they have to replicate the same success. You still have to respect the rest of the members of Red Embers the entire way through. Cliff is down. This push, how is this push still alive? But someone has to retreat. They gotta keep this basket alive. They have to get the small clams in. Not much time left on the clock. Can they get this in? No! The flash blocked it out! But now there's 3 down. The pity clam doesn't get cashed in anyways, and that might be the push that ends it all. Of all things, the terrain and Mecomar denied the small clams, and that is just a heartbreaking way to end that map for UCSD.
Kyon, yeah. I am at a loss for words.
Yeah.
An absolute loss for words. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that.
I think even the people watching had to process the entire map denied the small clams. I think if I were to look at it from a realistic perspective, I think it was just a bad angle, just trying to throw the clams in. I get why the bad angle was thrown there. If you looked at the time left on the push, their DRF, I think they were just trying to rush it in, realizing, okay, it's panic time. They gotta keep this basket open. And there's only one push left, effectively, because of the penalty points they had. I was wondering when they're gonna get the jump in with the pity clam that was stuck at base. It just didn't happen. It happened all, or was just a little slow in the uptake, and that's just tragic. I'll give Red Embers so much credit, though. The first 4 minutes was total Red Embers control. I was afraid of just the 1 minute comeback that happened at the end, though, but Red Embers was just on the driver's seat the entire way through for the first 4 minutes of that map, but that, I don't know what else to comment on, DRF.
I don't know either, because they came in with a jump on the power clam, too. If they make that one clam, and again, I think it was just a little bit just being antsy. It was just a lack of paint. You see the timer ticking down. It just was bad positioning. I mean, it was such a good push. Such a good push. I mean, they held that basket open for 50 seconds. That was such a long push that they had going. They had, they really had no right being in that position in the first place.
Yeah.
The fact that they even got there was so impressive. But now UCSD finds themselves on the ropes after going down 0-2, tying the set at 2-2. Now 1 game away from being knocked out of the quarterfinals, less than 3 hours after the brackets were released. Oh man, this is just a wild set. Illinois State 1 game away from punching their ticket to the semifinals and a rematch against PSU Blue, who they had lost to in the regular season 0-4. So Red Embers definitely looking to get that rematch in. UCSD hoping to put a stop to this, as they would like another shot at Penn State as well. But I think it's also worth noting here, though, that UCSD earlier in the season against VCU Ink Black were down 1-3 in their week 1 set and proceeded to win the back 3 games to somehow survive the set with a W. They're gonna have to do the same here once again.
And the thing with that, and the thing here with this set that means a lot for UCSD is you can't think about what could have been from that Mako Mark clan blitz if the small clans are in. You have to reset and go 1 map at a time. Like, you have to win the next 3 for you to punch a ticket to quarterfinals. A lot on the line for UCSD. Red Embers has just been giving them a run of their money, though, for a good chunk of the maps. Like, Corona's just been running rampant. Zol's been running rampant. How do you contain those 2 members there? Of course, the team to help support them in Terrell and Cliff, who have done just a phenomenal job just making sure that UCSD has no openings to work with. We go to Manta zones. I think this is all similar comms. Diluc's on the Octobrush duo. I actually like this pick with the beacons with the way that this map is played, especially in Manta Maria. If they can take advantage of the beacon placement, this is going to be huge for UCSD. Both teams are slow taking the zones right away, but it'll be Red Embers at least striking first.
Yeah, and take a look at this duel between the Tri and the Carbon, as neither one's gonna win out in that trade. But UCSD does get the slight numbers advantage, will get control of the zones. Now, the key thing here is going to be the backlines on both teams, as if you are able to get the backlines in the exact position that GoChild is in now, that is a good sign that your team is in a winning position. But it's going to take the rest of the team making sure that they can stay up and alive as well, because the E-leaders are only effective on these greats if they have the rest of the team providing a strong defensive front, keeping their backlines from being attacked. So far, UCSD's done a good job of it, as GoChild has not left this great since about 4:30 left in the game.
You want to know what's interesting? While GoChild's still in the greats, the rest of the team just got a delayed wipe, by the way, on the rest of Red Embers too. This push is gonna keep going, and Corona's down on top of it as well. The more you keep GoChild contained on those grades, as you mentioned with the E-leader, it's gonna be good news, especially for Red Embers. One half of the two-headed monsters here in Zolo and Corona went down. Corona, by the way, went down again. They're just gonna need to paint over the zone. It's just a little bit of extra time that is basically lost trying to paint. No one is able to contest right now. UCSD has a great blueprint here to continue with capping this one. They lose 2, by the way, on the side of Red Embers. UCSD might be able to clutch this one back if they're able to hold the zone for a long period of time. But will the rest of Red Embers able to fight back? They cannot do just that. Talk about mental fortitude, DRF. UCSD is still alive.
Absolutely. This is what UCSD needs to stick with. Like, this is not to say anything against anybody else, but if I am UCSD at this stage, you stick with these 4, you stick with this type of composition. Like, I want to continue to see Diluc on that Octobrush. I want to continue to see Nerdy Adam bounce between the Pro and the T-Tech. That's what I want to see UCSD continue to run with, because I think that's what gives them the best chance to survive this set.
On the other hand here, DRF, if I'm Red Embers, you have to stay together, keep continue to talk to the rest of the team, and then make sure that, hey, how do we deal with the rest of UCSD? GoChild just on another level right now with that E-leader, but the rest of the team has just done a great job supporting GoChild there as well. CD Wumi has been neutralized for a decent chunk of the set, but you still have to deal with the threat of CD Wumi that can still be lurking with the Carbon Roller Deagle at any time. How do you contain the rest of how do you contain GoChild, Adam, Diluc, and Wumi all together there? You're stuck with the same comp there, but can you make any adjustments to ensure that you win the set 5-3? UCSD, of course, wants to take this to a game 9, and the map to do is in ship-shape tower control. I'm excited to see how this map progresses out.
Absolutely, and just want to give a quick shout out to our East Coast viewers. We have officially hit midnight on the East Coast. Yep. Illinois State playing this set, 2 crucial games at 11 p.m. their local time. Yeah. I mean, you know, you don't typically get sets that happen this late. So kudos to both these teams for figuring it out. But hey, they're putting on a banger of a show so far. Kyon diving on into this one. We're seeing Nerdy Adam switch back over to that pro with the Booyah Bomb, which came up clutch in, what was that, game 4, I think it was?
Yep, game 4.
So that's going to be a key part of UCSD's comp in this game.
And now if you're Red Embers, you now have to just quickly think on the fly. How do you deal with Adam, who can, you know, farm up that Booyah Bomb at any given moment? This is going to be a very slow start, by the way, for Red Embers there, unless UCSD doesn't want to opt the push. I just think they're just going to wait and play this one patiently. Corona, by the way, has been neutralized for the past 2 games. I've gotten the sense. Manta Maria Zone's just not been a factor, so the rest of the team has to find ways to find routes across UCSD. This is a good start. Cliff has taken out 2, but Cliff is down to a foot to Adam, the Forge Pro, but this is a delayed wipe. Now Red Embers will be able to take this tower, maybe get the first checkpoint on top of it.
They definitely should. I don't see a world in which they don't get this first checkpoint. They're in a good spot to do so, but UCSD putting on the pressure, actually, trying to make this as difficult as possible. Really going to make them work to clear it. They finally will. That Wavebreaker as well going to come up pretty clutch here as Red Embers continue to hold on here. That's going to be 3 down on the side of UCSD, and they are now going to be put on the back foot here. Gochow all the way back, switching over to this left side as well. And a nice shot there from Gochild. We'll go ahead and put this push on hold. 45 points remaining, a great spot to be in if you're Red Embers, but this is ship shape. These tend to be high scoring games, so I'm sure that 45 will not stand for either team.
Yeah, I was about to quickly note that E-Leader just got the pick on the Cliff. And again, Corona's down. It is a 3-down situation. Only 2 members alive right now if on the side of UCSD, and it's just 1, but I think they're just gonna, you know, play this one smart. Definitely like this approach, playing this one smart and making sure that you find the picks here. Again, I highlight from Red Embers, Corona has just been heavily neutralized for a good chunk of the set. The rest of the team has to find ways to step up, but on the other hand, UCSD is definitely stepping up right now. 2 members are down and made that a delayed triple. Only the Tri-Slusher and Cliff is alive. The clear is going to have to be used, and this will be the first checkpoint unless that E-Leader can find the picks. And otherwise, though, the first checkpoint is cleared. UCSD just needs to find pressure on the tower, and this push is likely going to get stalled. Yes, it is 3 down. The Octorosh is just trying to find Cliff. It's a nice little trade, but that's all it's going to be. A delayed wipe. Red Embers pumps the brake on that UCSD push. Corona's now lurking large.
Well, at the very least, UCSD does get that checkpoint. That will help them out as Illinois State does pick up this tower once again. However, the pressure is back on. Corona's gonna find a nice pick there on Nerdy Adam. Gonna go ahead and pop this Killer Whale as well. Gonna find 3 down. A huge play, and this is going to be disaster for UCSD, and they are officially on the ropes. This is their last stand here. They're gonna need to come up with a big pick. Diluc coming in with the brush, able to pick off, I believe that was Cliff initially. CD Wumi gonna come in, plus that Booyah Bomb will shut down Corona. 12 points remaining. A big push there, and that is a winning score for ship-shaped tower control. Now the question is, will UCSD be able to respond? Because as of right now, they're staggered pretty hard, and they're gonna probably spend the next 30 seconds here just trying to get Illinois State players out of their half of the map.
And they may have done just that there, but as you mentioned, this is a very winning push right now for Red Embers. I think they're going to be very content with this push. I don't think you're going to be able to push heavily for the KO. Right now, that's a huge find, at least onto Cliff. At least this will give you some space to work with for this tower to reset. 55 seconds left. Again, where the special coordination needs to be key. They throw this Booyah Bomb out there at least to just build paint in that side of the map. Give Lumi the space to work with, but also watch out for flanks if you're UCSD. Red Embers, they just have to stop this push. That is Adam, I believe, caught out of position by the E-Leader, and that is Lumi going down on top of it. Now this push is going to slow down the crawl. They get the pick onto Corona, but the Trizuka is right there. Zolo with the Trizuka onto the face of the Octobrush Nouveau, and again, UCSD, they have to find that fight. Where is it though? Their Cliff does go down. There is a trade there. Diluc is taken out. That's the trade at least. But again, the crucial seconds here, DRF. This push is the one that has to happen.
Yes. 5 seconds to go. Corona coming in from behind the tower. CD Wumi's gonna call that out. Zola behind the tower now as well. They're gonna try to pick off Gochow. This is it. Now, no, it's gonna be a trade. CD Wumi gonna get shut down. No jump coming in from UCSD. Luke's gonna try to save this one, but no, it's Illinois State that will survive. The game will clinch the set and moves on to the semifinals to face Penn State.
Wow, what a finish for Red Embers, and that push to 12 points was pretty much the one that sealed it, and now your next step to clamp down on defense and try to deny UCSD Gold a chance to repeat semifinals appearance. They did just that there, DRF. UCSD, all the props in the world to keep them, to at least have the mental fortitude to keep the set alive as much as they can. Red Embers, though, was just way too much for UCSD as a whole. Corona showed up big time in the first half of the set. Was a little slow, but definitely showed up when they needed to most. Zolo, another player to call for. Great play overall from Zolo on Red Ember's side as well. And I gotta give credit to Cliff and Terrell just stepping up in the final maps to take this one home on a 5-3 victory for Red Embers.
Wow, I mean, and if we look at, a good chunk of these games, I think we probably saw maybe 2 knockouts, and the rest of them, if I had to guess, were probably decided by 20 points or less. I think UCSD is really gonna wish they had those Clamblitz games in particular back. Because both of them were so close. I think if the breeze blew in a slightly different direction, we could be seeing an entirely different set right now. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Red Embers that's played the right way at the right time to pull this off, and they run away with this playoff victory in their first season here in the CCA. Shout out to also Red Beak Splatoon, the original team from Illinois State, but Red Embers as a brand, this is their first season.
I have to give credit to Red Embers, just that entire set, just phenomenal play, and some of the maps they won were very convincing victories. I know we look at Mako Clamps and we think of the comeback that could have been, but we're not going to discredit the fact that, Red Embers just kept that pressure going. That particular map that basically made it so hard for UCSD to crawl back from. Now, of course, they probably looked back and realized, okay, we shouldn't have crumbled the way we did in the last minute or so defensive-wise, but they still held firm. And yeah, and I credit to Zolo to at least come up clutch in Barnacle and then Clamblitz on the deny, I believe, there as well. But hey, before I go any further with Red Embers, the CC tradition is still alive in the playoffs. I am looking at this right. We are going all 9, right?
I guess so. There's only one more game left to be played.
That's true.
So we'll go ahead and humor them. I'm kind of surprised Illinois State's down with it, given that it is
11,
just
right?
past 11 o'clock their time. But, might as well. I think the joke coming in between these two teams was, hey, let's just scrim today, except it's conveniently a best of 9 and conveniently uses the quarterfinals map list. And, by the way, has a lot more stakes than an actual scrim.
When you think of scrimming, I don't think the first thing in your mind is a playoff berth in the middle of the scrim.Maybe that's the way they wanted to approach said one, but whatever it was, hey, they showed up for the best of 9. Maybe it was maybe in everybody's minds it was probably a scrim all along for them. But hey, you know what? The CCA tradition I will be happy to see at any given point. We are gonna go all 9, but this one will not count towards the record books. So both teams are gonna. I'm trying to figure out if they're going to play Mimi or Silly. Well, okay, Red Embers at least changes things up a little bit just to possibly humor us. It is Undertow Rainmaker, by the way, for this 9th map. This would have been the deciding map had UCSD won the previous one. But hey, you know what? I'll be happy with the tradition nevertheless.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like both these teams will be taking this one seriously. So we could fantasize here about what if.
Yes.
You know what I just realized? No, never mind. UCSD's not taking this one seriously. As look who is on the Tetras here.
Okay, you're right. I had to take a quick second because I saw the Tetras. And then immediately, the immediate thing that clicked in my head was, is it Enda on this one? No, it's Goldchild. Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. We're both wrong. This is not as serious as it could be. Maybe it's just loony 11 p.m. shenanigans here in Illinois State. 9 p.m. in the Pacific time zone for UCSD, of course. There. By the way, Red Embers is out with the sniper and blaster, which I guess is the closest thing we're gonna get to a comp change, nevertheless. As we do see the first push, by the way, for UCSD Gold. They may actually get the first checkpoint here. DRF, and yeah, this will be the first checkpoint.
Yes, it will. I mean, I guess when you play with your teammates long enough, you understand how to use each other's weapons. As UCSD, I mean, like, UCSD, like, this is probably their best game so far. other than that Splat Zone's Manta. Like, this is probably the cleanest start that they've had all set.
Well, okay, you're right, actually. The minute you made that comment, I had to look at the weapons very closely there, as we do see a 3-down situation on UCSD Gold. Who is on the Carbon Roller? I just realized that's not Woomy on the roller. Who is on E-Leader? Who is on any of these weapons that UCSD is dishing out? Okay, Enda is doing their best CD Woomy impression. That's exactly what I'm trying to figure out. I was like, wait a minute, this is a serious comp. No, it is a serious comp, but not on the players you expect to see it with. And I'm glad that Illinois State decided to go and do their bag of tricks there. But at least, hey, they switched things up for the final app. I'm at least happy they did just that there. As Rainmaker popped, and Red Embers will go for their first push of the game.
And they should get pretty close to getting this first checkpoint as well. But Trip Strike's slowing them down. But it looks like UCSD doing everything they can. Like, you know, it's gonna be really hard for me to not say CD Woomy every time I see this Carbon. Because it's literally in the name, CD Carbon Deco Woomy. Like...
But okay, so Woomy I think is on E-Leader duties.
Yes.
That's what we see so far. Yeah, I had to take a quick second there. So Enda is the one that's making their best CD Woomy impression. So if I put the tape here together, CD Woomy is doing their best Goatchild impression. Then I think the Dark Tetris is Goatchild, which I think would normally be Enda's at that point. Now I definitely need to figure out. I'm blanking on here. T-Tech, who is wielding that from UCSD?
I think it's Diluc, which I think this is more of like a nerdy Adam pick.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there's definitely still a little bit of funny business there.
Yeah, that's what I had to figure out, though. Is I guess the closest thing to that funny business is that hey, Adam is at least in the hearts of this entire comp. I'll give him that there. Again, it's the 3-weapon change there, but Corona is still the one in the constant with that brush. Actually going down, but just after the Rainmaker got slammed home. So both teams have broken through the first checkpoint. I'm gonna look to see how UCSD Golden, not the weapons I expect to see, will fare here on defense.
And I think the wild part is that UCSD has a pretty sizable lead here still. Like, part of me's like thinking that, like, okay, they're gonna lose the lead here then, most likely. Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Okay, so they will get the stop. But like, part of me's like just constantly thinking that, like, if this was actually Game 9, and given that they're all playing weapons that, you know, their teammates would play and not their own weapons, like, if this was Game 9, like, surely UCSD is actually, like, gonna end up winning this, because, like, the way that they're playing, given not their weapons, is really convincing. Like, if you told me that this was not the weapons they were supposed to be playing, like, if I didn't know anything about UCSD, like, I would be pretty convinced.
You know, there's an old saying that I have from an old MOBA game in the past. If you take the names away, you probably be expecting the same players to play the weapons. Except obviously in this case, not here. Of course, it's everybody else playing on different ones. It was very convincing, but as you mentioned, it was in the last. The lead was pretty much lost with a minute left to go and change. And Corona is still doing brush things. Nothing has changed on that front. We're down to about 9 seconds left, and I think the last Rainmaker roller was UCSD, if I'm not mistaken there. So but I think just somebody needs to pick up the Rainmaker or not. They're just gonna leave it there for the play all night. So on the record books, it is on the record books it's a 5-3. The unofficial books it's a 6-3. But in the hearts of UCSD in this swap meet, I'd say everybody's a winner on this.
An excellent way to put that, Keon. Yeah. Oh man, what a set between these two teams. I mean, every game just produced just amazing entertainment. So kudos to both of these teams for One, just being on top of things to just recognize, hey, we need to play this set as soon as possible. Yeah, like neither team is going to get proper practice time, but out of respect for each other, let's just go ahead and play this out. We would rather, play and lose than to have to win by forfeit because, one team couldn't make it over the other to a specific time slot.
Even though we're prolonging the broadcast here, you know what it reminds me of? Remember, there was a playoff set. I'm sure you might vividly remember this one. Or this, you might know exactly what I'm talking about. The famous 6 a.m. set where I think two teams just couldn't have their schedules line up. If I remember the exact story, is that two teams couldn't get their schedules line up, and of all the times they play it, it's 6 in the morning. I forgot what time zone it was. Again, I'm gonna give a huge shout out to Falco for that one, who was able to broadcast that game in basically working hours, basically before working hours there too. But that was kind of what this match kind of reminds me of in a very weird sense. It at least it happened during the middle of the night, effectively, so it is actually within reasonable hours. I'll say it, but at least they identified, okay, we can't actually play this set out here. May as well just play it, not play it out instead of trying to go with the forfeit. So I gotta give both teams props though for at least scheduling this when they know they could. And hey, we're at least able to show this set for you guys here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am very appreciative of both these teams because this was so last minute. So thank you to both teams. It is going to be the end of the road here for UCSD Esports Gold. They do keep their 4 seasons of playoff streak alive, but not going to keep that 4th place streak alive. So just huge shout out to them. Thank you so much for continuing to be part of the CCA every season. I believe as well this is very likely Diluc's last season, and they have been with the UCSD roster for 4 seasons now. So just want to give them the shout outs that they deserve because this has just been an ongoing storyline for them, and it's the UCSD Core 4 is going to kind of break apart now. Nerdy Adam's going to kind of slot himself in as the key 4th player moving forward, and they're going to hopefully look to bring on some new players. Red Embers coming out swinging in their first season, barely slip into the playoffs with a 2-3 record, now punching their ticket to the semifinals and guaranteed at least a top 4 finish.
I'm really happy for Red Embers. The rest of Corona's group just played that entire set so well. I could obviously break it down for hours, but I'll just leave it at that. They played amazing. Corona just so much impact on the brush, but when Corona kept getting neutralized, the rest of the team stepped up when they needed to on Red Embers end. So I gotta give kudos to the entire team for just playing that one well. And you mentioned it there earlier with UCSD Gold. I think I remember UCSD Gold. I think I still even remember some of the players like dating back to season 1 of the CCA league. Like they have been there for such a long time. I gotta give them a huge shout out there too for still sticking around for all the seasons of the CCA league that has been offered at this point. I still remember CD Wumi or area, I believe, along with a Goat Child for sure. I think Enda may have came in at the same season or maybe a little bit later.
No, all the same season. CD Wumi, Goat Child, Enda all started together in that season 1, along with Sunlight, also known as Diluc. So they originally were paired with Mofugami. Mofugami graduated. They brought in Coaster, who was finishing his masters. He graduated. Now they brought on Nerdy Adam. But otherwise, that core 4 has always been the same. This will be the last season that we see all 4 of them together. However, the 3 of CD Wumi and Goat Child will continue to proceed forward and do their best to carry on UCSD's legacy.
I absolutely love it. Just the fact that it kind of just brought, that they've been around for so long is just so cool to see. Of course, with college years, graduations, and everything else, DRF, as you have definitely known, you can't be sticking with the same collegiate team for too long. So I got to give them major props to just being able to stick around with UCSD Gold for such a long time. I've had the pleasure of casting them as for quite a while there too. So hey, all 4 of you guys, I'm glad I casted all of y'all as with the core 4.
Absolutely. Well, Keon, that is gonna do it. Red Embers wins this set 5-3. Will face Penn State at some point in the semifinals whenever they figure out how to schedule that. But we'll go ahead and sign this one off so we could get everyone to bed. So go ahead, plug yourself real quick, Keon. Where can the people of our chat find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me Twitch, Twitter, and Skies That Are Blue, Kiln2570 on Twitter and Blue Sky. I basically just post a lot of nonsense or just any random Splatoon tweet I can think of at that point in time, or I just post nonsense. It's usually one of the two. Twitch, I do stream Splatoon, but I'm primarily variety there. So if you do catch me live, I'll probably just play whatever I feel like during the time. So hit that follow button if you want to follow me there. But one quick shout out to you, DRF. I'm gonna shout you out for at least getting me in to cast this one with you, dude. So I always a pleasure casting the CCA with you every time. But now I gotta return the favor to you. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can go find me on Twitter at DRF_Splatoon and on Twitch, TritonDRF. But per usual, you can find me right here on the CCA channel doing all things collegiate Splatoon. That is going to do it for today's special edition broadcast of our first quarterfinals matchup of Season 4. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you this upcoming weekend for some more quarterfinals sets.